Welcome to today's assembly. My name is Mrs. McCready. I'm Director of Science, and today I'm going to talk about 100 women. Each year, the BBC publishes a list of 100 inspiring and influential women from around the world. The list for 2020 was published this week and highlights women who are leading change and making a difference during the turbulent times of the COVID-19 pandemic. The list includes people from diverse cultural and career backgrounds. It includes journalists, artists, actors, activists, sports coaches, and filmmakers. During this assembly, I'd like to tell the stories of 5 women from a science background and the amazing contributions they have made and continue to make toward overcoming the COVID-19 virus. Our first scientist is Samaya Farooqi. She's a roboticist from Afghanistan. She leads a team of women who make robots to solve problems. They call themselves the Afghan Dreamers. Her team have developed a machine that works as a ventilator to treat patients with respiratory symptoms from coronavirus. The machine breathes for the person when they can't for themselves. It would cost just a small fraction of the £25,000 price of a traditional ventilator and would allow hospitals in remote areas to have access to potentially life-saving treatment for the virus. Samaya is just 17 years old. You may have heard Sarah Gilbert's name in the news recently. She leads the Oxford University COVID-19 vaccine development team. She has previously created vaccines for other major diseases, including the Ebola outbreak in 2014. The process of developing a vaccine that can be given to the public is a long and complicated one. Sarah's team came up with a vaccine that worked in the lab very early on in the pandemic, and since then have been testing it to make sure it is safe to be used in humans. When asked by journalists whether she thought she might be the first to find a vaccine, she responded that she was in a race against the virus, not against other scientists. She's the mother of triplets. All 3 have followed in her footsteps and studied biochemistry at university. Her friends say that she hates being in the spotlight, but it seems only right that she gains recognition for the incredible work that she is doing. Elizabeth Anyonwu is Professor of Nursing at the University of West London. As a child, she lived in a Catholic children's home. She suffered with eczema and had to have bandages on her skin. She recalls that the nuns would rip the bandages off, causing her awful pain. However, there was one nun who was very gentle and would tell her jokes to distract her as she took off the bandages. When Elizabeth found out the nun was a nurse, she was determined to follow the same career path. Throughout her career, she has been heavily involved in sickle cell anemia projects. Sickle cell anemia is a disease that affects the shape of the red blood cells, reducing their ability to carry oxygen around the body. Elizabeth has campaigned to improve the care provided for this disease, which predominantly affects people from African and African Caribbean backgrounds. This year, she has played a key part in highlighting the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on Black and minority ethnic communities. Our 4th scientist is Nazreen Alwan. She is a medical doctor and a public health expert. She has raised awareness of long COVID, where people can report symptoms including fatigue, headaches, and shortness of breath for months after testing positive for coronavirus. She says, "During 2020, I did 3 things more: speak my mind, do what I fear, and forgive myself. I also did 3 things less: care what others think of me, blame myself, and believe I'm less than others." Not only is Nazreen a talented scientist and advocate of women's health, she gives fantastic advice on living a happy life. Our 5th and final scientist is Susie Wiles. She's a bioluminescence scientist. Originally from the UK, Susie now lives in New Zealand. She is a scientist and public health communicator. She's collaborated with a cartoonist to communicate the science of COVID-19 more effectively with the public. The flatten the curve visual shown here has been translated into many languages and adapted by governments around the world to help people understand the importance of lockdowns. Susie also heads the bioluminescent superbugs lab, where she uses glow-in-the-dark bacteria to understand more about how microbes make us ill. Countless people from all walks of life have made sacrifices to help others this year. As of the 31st of October, the number of nurses who lost their life during the coronavirus pandemic outnumbered the nurses who died during the entirety of World War I. In recognition of these facts, one name on the list has been left blank: the unsung hero. Perhaps you could take a moment to think of the people who have been selfless in their support of you during this year. Who is your unsung hero? I hope some of these stories have inspired you to make a difference to people not just in your family or friendship group, but in your wider community. You can read the stories of these incredible women on the BBC website. Just search BBC 100 Women. Maybe one day we'll read one of your names on this list. What will you do to change the world for the better?